everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why is 112 India's common emergency response number. Now let us suppose few years back, you were an Indian citizen involved in a road accident, or if there was a fire hazard at your work or residential place, or God forbid, you were facing a medical issue. Now, the common problem that all Indians faced up till few years back that they had options of multiple helpline numbers. So when you are provided an option of multiple helpline offers which you should dial in case of any particular emergency, the first instance that you'll have is of confusion, because you don't know which number is for which particular purpose, and at that time from administration's perspective it will also delay the response, which is very critical in case of any accident, because the first hour of any accident is called as a golden hour. Now, to address this issue, the Union government back in 2019, following the lines of USS's 911 number system, it introduced a nationwide emergency response system with the common number called as 112. So in our today's video, we'll try to understand what kind of a solution this system offers. And the reason why we are covering this today is because last month, the Supreme Court of India gave all states and union territories 3 months of time to complete the technical and operational integration of different emergency numbers and bring them into the plethora of 112 National Emergency Response System. You need to understand why the Supreme Court was forced to give this direction, because even after 7 years of 112's implementation, presently only 5 states and union territories in India, that is Delhi, Kerala, Gujarat, Haryana and Lakshadweep, they have ensured complete integration of all emergency services under the system of 112, and all the other states barring these 5 union territories and states have ensured only partial or no integration of their emergency services with 112. For example, Uttar Pradesh, whose 112 system is very well known, it has able to achieve full integration except the emergency medical services of number 102. So this is the condition of all different states and union territories in India, because up till now they have not ensured full integration, and that is why the Supreme Court is asking them to do the same within the span of next 3 months itself. Now, the notes which I will be using for our today's session, you can also download them by going to a particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So, in that way, let us start our today's discussion by understanding what is this National Emergency Response System 112. It is basically a single emergency helpline number which provides you response in all emergency situations, and it is designed just as the same way of 911 system of the US or 112 system of Europe. Now, it was launched by Ministry of Home Affairs in 2019 and it was developed using the Nirbhaya Fund. Nirbhaya Fund is a non-lapsable fund with the central government which is funded by budgetary support, and it is used for provision of various emergency services for women, children and anyone who is in distress. Now, you need to understand what kind of different services now are expected to be integrated into 112 system. As I told you initially, earlier Indians have multiple options to refer to different numbers in cases of different emergencies. For example, 100 number was used for police services, 101 gave you access to fire services, 102 was emergency medical services, 108 was ambulance, 1033 was for highway, and likewise for women, child and women in distress. Now, everything will be combined into just one single number, that was the number 112. So this is the intention of bringing such a motive. Now, don't you think this brings a question in your mind? Why was this number 112 chosen in the first place? Why did we not adopt a simpler number like 111? There is a very good reason behind it. Now, this concept of 112 actually originated in Europe from European Conference of Postal and Telecommunication Administration CEPT back in 1976. And back in 1976, the purpose of choosing this 112 was very scientific. First of all, the kind of phones that were prevalent at that time were rotary phones, where you had to rotate the number in order to reach a particular destination. So rotation among the phone for the numbers 112 was relatively easier as compared to number which was spread far across the dial. For example, if you had to dial 159, it would take a lot of physical effort for you to complete that number. But making or dialing 112 was relatively easy. Second, even at that time, the dial phones of the phones were locked by using the number 3. So even when the dials of the phones were partially locked, you could still dial 112 number with relative ease. And now with the onset of digital phones, with smartphones, you can see the numbers of 112 are very located close to each other. So it is very easier for you to quickly dial that number. Similarly, at the same time, 112 number in itself is very easy to remember. So this solves the problem of you having to remember multiple numbers. Now, there was very good reason why a single number was not chosen to be repeated 3 times. Why isn't it 111 or 222 or, for example, 999 also? There is a very good reason behind it. Now, suppose a smartphone in your pocket. Have you seen sometimes even when your phone is in your pocket, it is able to dial some numbers accidentally? And what kind of numbers are dialed accidentally? The numbers in repeat. So that is why the repeated instance of 111, 222, 999, etc. were avoided in order to prevent phones from being mistakenly dialing that number in your pocket. Right? So there was a very good reason why the number 112 was chosen. But why was this number chosen in India? There is a very good reason behind it. Now, how many of you remember in 2012 there was a heinous crime in Delhi where a woman was raped in the confines of the city itself, and this was the Nirbhaya case accident. Now, in that incident, after the death of the victim, the government set up a committee under the chairmanship of Justice J.S. Verma. The purpose of that committee was to understand why this incident happened in the first place and to suggest measures so that these incidents can be prevented in the future. So that committee actually identified the root cause of such problem was that Indians did not have an access to a unified emergency systems. So once a unified emergency system would be created, it would give a single point access to all the citizens in India, which on one hand would ensure faster dispatch of emergency services, be it police, fire, medical, safety, otherwise, and at the same time it would improve the amount of public safety among the citizens of India. But more importantly, from the administration side, it will better or improve the resource allocation and improve the coordination among different agencies, which is required when you respond to any emergency like situation. Right? Now let us try to understand how this system actually works. God forbid, if you are facing any kind of emergency like situation, you take out your phone and you dial the number 112. This number helps you connect through an emergency response support system, which is basically a control room located decentralized across the country. Right? So that controller who would pick up your phone would understand your problem, and he or she themselves would classify this problem into one of the 7 different problems. And it is now the responsibility of the operator to designate your call to a respective emergency service provider. So there would be first responders who would dispatch the nearest vehicle at the earliest possible time so that you get access to those emergency services at the quickest, and the incident will be monitored up till the time it is closed, either by the service provider or by the person who had complained for that emergency services in the first place. So this is how this system would work. All you have to do is to pick up your phone and dial the number 112. Rest all would be done at the back end. You don't have to get involved in this. Now, what are the benefits of having a single emergency response system? First, it enables faster response. Now, citizens only need to dial one number, so it reduces the confusion among the citizens that what is their problem and which number they have to dial. Similarly, from the administration side, it improves the coordination. It makes the response much more faster by putting all the problems going through one single platform as against scattered among the different platforms. And at the same time, when it comes to gathering all the resources, use of that resources become much more efficient. So the cost of providing the emergency services from the taxpayers' money, that is also made very efficient. And the end for us users, it improves the level of public safety. So the purpose why with we remember the state during any particular problem, the purpose of that would be solved. And most importantly, it would help the administration and the government to ascertain from a common centralized system from which areas in the country what kind of problems have emerged. So let us imagine an e-commerce website. How do you think e-commerce website estimates the amount of goods and services that they have to deliver in the first place? For example, for a particular area, one kind of products are demanded more. So that e-commerce website would ensure availability of that kind of products in nearby vicinity so that it can be delivered at the earliest. Same kind of problems can also be solved by the administration. Suppose if there is an area where there is a common law and order related problem, so there police deployment would be higher as compared to another area nearby highways where accidents are more prevalent. There medical services, ambulance services would be deployed more. So that is how you would first of all understand the problem in a better way through a centralized system, which would ensure that the government is able to allocate resources more efficiently and prominently, so that it is able to address these problems and solve the cause issues of this problem at a later end. So this is the benefit of the entire system. Now, before we solve a practice question which can be asked on this system, by understanding how the UPSC actually develops a question, there is an important announcement. Now, tomorrow is 2nd of July, and if you take admissions before the 2nd of July, if today or tomorrow, you're going to get maximum discounts, that is 50% off on all the courses with double validity. Please remember, to get all of these benefits, you'll have to put the code ATS live before making the payment. This code gets you maximum discounts on all the courses. Please remember, this batch ends, or the admission to this batch ends tomorrow, and also it is the end of the sale. So please make sure to take the admission. And before we wind up our today's discussion, in 2020, if you remember, there was a question on artificial intelligence in UPSC. So if you change that question to suit our today's discussion understanding, a question would be framed like this by UPSC. With the implementation of the National Emergency Support System, which one of the following benefits can be achieved? Please let me know the correct answer out of these 5, which are the benefits of an ERS 112 system, in the comment section. And if you want to download the notes, it will be made available on this particular Telegram channel. The channel's name is called as ETS Live. So this is all from my side for today. Please have a very good day. We'll see each other again tomorrow.